Hello and welcome to the last story time of The Girl Who Stole the Elephant. We've not got long left, but remember the children have been sentenced to death, but Chaya asked, please can we just stay to see the bandits' trial at least? The king was like, fine, whatever. So the bandits have walked in. Remember they are Gamage and Leela, the princess. So she strolled or strutted up to her brother and gone. Well, I'll read the last little bit to you, remember. The king looked up in surprise. Hello, brother, Leela smiled at him. It's been a long time. So we'll see what's going to happen. Chapter 46. The king stared, and a look of wild panic flashed across his face. In a millisecond, he had to compose himself. How dare you, he said. Guards, take away this woman who speaks to me so freely. Surely you recognise me, brother. Leela was unperturbed. 12 years is a long time, but you must have known this day would come eventually. The silence fell over the audience hall. Everyone stood mutedly, as if watching the Thursday night drama at the village square. General Sari looked from the king to Leela and back again, as if trying to understand what was happening. What are you doing? Bellowed the king. Seize her, now! Both of them. The king's outburst galvanised the guards into action. They jumped forward, but Leela held up her hand. There's no need for that. I'll come quietly. But you need to listen to me first. She turned at the crowd. I am the king's half-sister, daughter of your old king. I came back not to cause trouble, but to help my people. Behind them, the villagers looked astounded. Princess Leela! Her name rippled through the crowd, and incandescently at first, then reverently. They don't need your help, shouted the king. Leela was unruffled. That's not for you to say. Do you? General Sari spluttered. Do you want me to take them away? Now, your majesty. Be quiet, General, said Leela. I won't be long. She addressed the people again. We don't have to live like this, in fear all the time, with everyone only fending for themselves. I'm here for you. You, the king laughed mischievously. You think the people are going to listen to you? If they know what's good for them, they'll go with the strong leader who will rule with an iron fist, not you. They will never accept you. There is no they or me, brother. There is only us. The villagers muttered among themselves. They seemed unsure and scared. What are they waiting for? The king paced. What are you waiting for? The king paced to the end of his platform and yelled at General Sari. Take them away, all of them. Put them all to death at once. And anyone who's caught agreeing with a word of this crazy woman has said, he glared at the people threateningly, will be dead too. Chapter 47. The children were hauled out first. Good riddance, whispered a villager as they were dragged past. Our troubles will be over at last with you gone. You don't have to do this, yelled Chaya. Why do we have to be ruled by someone everyone is scared of? We can put this right together. Keep quiet, thief, said a woman. Don't make the king angrier than he already is. Neelan, wailed his mother, and she tried to clutch him as they dragged him past. We were only going to help you. Noir's face was streaked with tears. Why do you think Chaya rang the bell? Said Nil. That brought the king's men, and they put the fire out. We could have run away, but she saved the village instead. A couple of the villagers looked confused and chattered among the others. That could have been her, said the one. The plinth is broken. That couldn't have been her, said. The plinth is broken. She couldn't reach it. She stood on the elephant, said Noir. Think about it. No one else could have rang it. We don't believe you, liars, said the woman with the baby from earlier. Steal is all she'll ever do. Don't think we don't know, just because she hasn't been caught before. And now she's trying to be revolutionary, an old man cackled, and people around him joined him. Yes, I'm a thief, yelled Chia with all her might, for all her taunters to hear. But you know what? My thieving paid for your Ruth, Cathora. Cathora looked startled, and there was a, is that true, from someone close to him. He nodded slowly. And you, Sumuma. Chaya jabbed her finger at the people she'd helped as the guards pushed her roughly through the crowd. My thieving paid for your son's books and VJ's legs and David's vegetable carts. Murmurs ran through the crowd. And Tuna would be dead, and Mikira's children starved if it wasn't for my thieving. People were starting to look uncomfortable now. And you say you're a strong leader, brother, Leela's voice rang out, and a hush fell over everyone. A child needs to steal so that basic needs of your people are met. The guard, pointing his spear at Leela, looked at Chaya across the crowds. His familiar face creased into a look of resolve. He drew back the spear and rested it on the ground. What are you doing? Yelled the king. The guard stared at the king obstinately, then dropped the spear to the floor, where it fell with a clatter. Well done, son, shouted a female voice from the back. That's when Chaya realised why he looked so familiar. The guard was VJ's brother, the boy she'd stolen the jewels for. Seeing this, the guard next to Gamish lowered his spear too. She's right, shouted one of the villagers. Why should we live like this? While the king and his ministers grow richer on our country's wealth, shouted someone else. The lords of Sennacherib provinces looked on stonily. For the first time, a look of fear crossed the king's face. The hands binding Chaya dropped away. Leela took a step forward. General Sari watched and said nothing, waiting to see which side to choose. The villagers advanced to the front of the pavilion, filtering through the guards who put down their weapons. From beyond the pavilion came more villagers, until clusters of them were amassed around the pavilion. You could hear a pin drop. There was no need for an attack. The king and his few supporters were well and truly outnumbered. Leela advanced until she was standing at the foot of the throne. The king gulped. Very well, he said. Can't turn the page. General Sari's voice rang out over everyone as the king stepped down. All hail the new queen of Sebrindid. I can never say that one. Leela's now queen. The king has surrendered. Chapter 48. Chaya looked at the bronze spear pointing at her neck. You're back, she smiled at the guard. It was the one who had been fired when she got into the royal compound. He grinned and put the spear down by his side. I didn't think you recognised me. Queen Leela had someone trace me and gave me my job back. Well, it's nice to see you again, said Chaya. You lost your job because of me. The Queen's so forgiving. Most of us are still here, even those who didn't side with her to begin with. By the way, I'm not going to let you go up there today. Anything past the lion's entrance is strictly out of bounds to the public. Remember. I'm actually here by invitation, said Chaya grandly. She pulled out a rolled up card and gave it to him. It was a request to go and see General Sari for a special reward. He read it and whistled. All right, go on up. Someone will direct you to General Sari's office. Nil was already waiting when he was shown in, and Noir came in shortly after. The guard then pointed them into a large room with a wide window overlooking the promenade. General Sari leaned on the edge of the ornate ebony desk, waiting for them. He seemed to have been relegated to a clerical position, but in spite of that, everything about the room was dazzling rich, from the creamy velvet seats of the heavily carved chairs to the jewel-studded leather opener on the table. Leave us, he said to the guard. Through the window behind him, they could see families milling around in the grounds, enjoying a feast being held to mark the beginning of the new reign. The Queen has requested I give these to you, said General Sari, handing over 3 silver plaques. He couldn't have looked more miserable if he had tried. They award you the statues of heroes of Serenity. There will be a ceremony at a later date after her coronation. Thank you, said Chaya, although you don't look too thrilled about it. Nil kicked Chaya with the side of his foot. General Sari's face hardened. He walked up to the window and looked over the crowds. Don't get too cocky, child. You can leave now. Remember, General Sari was well and truly on the king's side, but because of his position, he just has to support who his boss is, and he doesn't really like his new boss. When they came back down to the promenade, Auntie was waiting with Father. She hugged Chaya until her breath was almost squeezed out of her. Hero of Serenity, indeed, she laughed. As if your head could get any bigger than it already is. Remember, Auntie was telling her from the start she's got to stop being like she is, but now she's like, oh, it's kind of paid off. Chaya laughed, then gestured towards Noir, who was standing slightly back. Auntie, this is my friend, Noir. Noir blushed. She's just been called Chaya's friend, no wonder. What a pretty girl, said Chaya. Maybe you'll be a calming influence on Chaya. Noir giggled. Oh, I don't know about that. Don't count on it, said Father. If Nilan couldn't do it in all this time, I doubt anyone can. Father, I've changed. Honest. She hasn't, said Neil. Father beamed proudly. The king stood no chance against you three. It was nice that it was a peaceful coup, without a drop of blood being shed, and almost worth all the hassle you gave me. I'm so sorry for everything I put you through, Father, said Chaya. I really am. Father smiled. I know you are. Whatever headaches you cause me, no one can doubt you do everything out of love. Look, said Chaya, embarrassed. The sweetmeats are out. The palace servants ran around like ants, managing the feast. There was dancing and singing, and soon the Vennies burst in melody too. Come on, said Chaya, pulling Neil and Noir towards the sweetmeat stall. Noir put some sweets on a plate. I guess this is the end of your thieving days then. Why do you think that? Said Chaya, biting into the syrup dough ball. Things are great, and I'm sure the new queen will look after the people who need it most. But who knows? If people need it, help is at hand. You are joking, aren't you? Said Neil. Chaya licked the syrup off her fingers and slipped her hand into her pocket. Noir gasped, and Neil slapped his hand on his forehead as Chaya twirled General Sari's letter opener in her fingers. So she stole it even from when she was getting an award from General Sari. Relax, she said, pocketing it. He has too much stuff to miss it. I'll put it to good use if someone is in need. Chaya, said Noir, I will never understand you. But I have one question. When you broke into my house, why didn't you steal any of those sugary sweets that you love so much? When I gave them to you in the jungle, that was the first time you tasted them. Chaya smiled as she popped another dough ball in her mouth. What do you think I am? A thief or something? She looked around her. Clusters of people stood chatting on the green, laughing with each other. Sweetmeats sizzled in hot oil, throwing their aroma around the lawns. Children darted through the crowds, playing, and the three of them were back safe with their families at last. Serenity had a wise and just new queen who would rule with care and love. And in the middle of it all, Ananda lifted up his majestic head and trumpeted into the blue, blue sky. And there we go. That is the end of The Girl Who Stole the Elephant. Hope you enjoyed it. I did actually, because I hadn't read it before, because remember it was a brand new book. It was only released in like February. So I think it was a good choice on 5p's half. Well done.